How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. In today's video, I have 4 topics to cover, starting out with Sony has quelled fears about the PS6 coming out way too soon. Second on the list, I am begging Sony to ignore Xbox just this once. Third, I picked out some of the best deals you can get in the PlayStation Christmas sale. And finally, I'm doing my first Game of the Year segment ever because this is the last news video of 2024. All right, let's jump into the first topic here, which is all about the PS6. Now, I know people get upset hearing about the PlayStation 6, and I honestly get it because I do too. I thought this generation was going to be 10 years, right? Like last generation, I feel like around midway, I was like, they need to like fast track the PS5 because the PS4, if you didn't know, they had it ready for a couple of years, but because of the big recession that happened in 2008, they were waiting for people to build up their cash reserves before they released it, which is why the PS4 and Xbox One both came out underpowered, and then they had to do Pro consoles. So you got the Xbox One X and the PS4 Pro. The PS4 Pro sold really well because people wanted a console that could like feasibly run games at 30 frames per second. I know they marketed it as like a 4K console, but the real benefit of the PS4 Pro was getting 1080p 30 FPS pretty much locked all the way up until the end of the generation, which is why it sold pretty dang well. But then for this generation, that didn't happen. They didn't release the console too early, and the PS5 is a powerful console. Like it's struggling with Unreal Engine 5 in a very similar way that the PS4 struggled with Unreal Engine 4, but that's because for some reason Epic Games likes to work a generation ahead, and then they give developers like a discount to use Unreal Engine 5, so then they all use it, and then all the games look and feel the same, and they don't run well. I wish Unreal would just kind of go away for a while, honestly. I'm getting really sick of Unreal Engine 5 games because yes, you get graphical benefits and everything like that, but Epic refuses to fix all the problems with their engine. Like a lot of the problems that Unreal Engine 4 had carried forward to Unreal Engine 5, and then it got more problems. So it was hard to run, and it has major stuttering issues that, you know, you can't buy a CPU for any PC out there that can actually brute force its way through those issues, and Epic just pretends that they don't exist. I don't really know what the issue is, but I don't like Unreal Engine 5. But regardless, outside of Unreal 5, a lot of other games that don't use Unreal, like they use proprietary engines, they use CryEngine, they use anything but Unreal, they look and run just fine on the PS5. Sony kind of opened the genie bottle by making so many games cross-generation, which allowed them to run at 60 FPS, but that benchmark of above 1080p at 4K, it's been largely met throughout this entire generation. So I was hoping that, you know, this $500 investment that hasn't really dropped in price, I mean, right now it's at $400, a little less for the disk driveless model, but it hasn't dropped in price in the same way that any generation has before. Like the PS1 was insanely expensive when it came out, and by the time the first year rolled around, you could get it for like less than half of what it originally cost. PS2, you could get them for like $99 through around the midpoint of that generation. PS3, they had to rework it, and they got it down to $249 within a couple of years. PS4, it was down to $249 as well with bundled games for the PS4 Slim release. So they lowered the prices on all those. They didn't do that at all with the PS5 just yet. So everything was pointing to this thing lasting a long time. And then we started hearing all these rumors about the PS6 coming out earlier than anticipated because Xbox is releasing their next gen console a lot sooner than they initially anticipated. But Sony has hit back. An IGN interviewer asked Mark Cerny about the PlayStation 6, and he said no comment. The interviewer doubled down and asked if it's going to come out in the next 4 years, and Mark Cerny was like, we're not even thinking about PlayStation 6 right now. So if you just bought a PS5, you're planning on buying a PS5, you're planning on upgrading to a PS5 Pro, and then you saw these rumors of the PlayStation 6 coming out in just a couple of years, I think we're going to be waiting until the very least the end of 2027, or, you know, that'll be the earliest. I think 2028 is when we're going to really see the PlayStation 6, probably in November, because that's when these consoles release. And honestly, I think that's fine. This whole generation has been PS4 games, right? Like PS4 games that are upscaled to run better on PS5. We're just starting 4 years in to see games that actually utilize the PS5 hardware. We don't know what this machine can do, so I think it's way too early to kind of, you know, start anticipating a next gen console that can keep up with Unreal Engine 5, because when that happens, we're going to be in the exact same situation. I guarantee you that right before the PS6 is revealed, we're going to get another big demo from Epic Games with Unreal Engine 6. They're going to say it's going to power movies and everything like that, just like they did with Unreal Engine 5, and then magically any game that uses Unreal Engine 6 in the PS6 generation is going to look and run like crap crap on that console. They're gonna have to downscale it to like 720p and then upscale it from there to like 1440p or 4K. And that's exactly what's gonna happen because it happens every generation. So if you're worried about Sony moving on too quickly from this console, I think we're just at the point where it's really about to start getting good. So I think the fears that people have, while well-founded, you don't need to have them. Anyway, that brings me to the second news story here, which kind of runs in tandem with what I was just talking about. So we all know Xbox is in dire straits when it comes to hardware. Their consoles are selling less and less and less every quarter. They see a big drop from the last quarter, and those compound. So it's like not just a 29% drop from last year, it's a 29% drop from the last time they gave us any info. So the hardware business is floundering. And I really want Sony to ignore what Microsoft is doing here because I don't think Sony needs to pay attention to this, and I'll explain why. So for the next generation, Xbox is kind of working on becoming a larger platform similar to Steam. They're not really competing with PlayStation as much as they are with Valve and Steam. So what they want to do is turn Xbox OS into a competitor to Steam OS, where like the whole goal with Steam OS 3.0 wasn't just to run on the Steam Deck. They want to complete it and make it so you can install it on any hardware. So a gaming laptop, a Steam machine, even a gaming console. You can install Steam OS, buy Steam games, install other launchers like the Xbox Game Pass launcher, the EA launcher, Epic Game Store, any of those, and just play your PC games, but you'll get the best experience if you buy games through Steam. Now that Xbox has just lost the hardware war, their plan is to take the Xbox OS and make it into a competitor to Steam OS and make it so any device can be an Xbox. So like if Asus wants to make a boutique PC with like a 4090 and like an i7 13900K or whatever, 16 gigabytes of RAM and all that crap, they want to throw that together and install the Xbox OS on it instead of Windows, they can do that, and then they can call it the Asus Xbox Series whatever, right? Like they can call it an Xbox because it's running the Xbox software. And then if Lenovo wants to make a Legion Go handheld that runs Steam OS, and then they make another one, and this is already happening right now with Lenovo. They have the Legion Go, which is a competitor to the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. For the next generation, they're going to do two versions of it. So one of them is going to ship with Windows 11, the other one is going to ship with Steam OS, and then when you're going to the store to buy it, you're going to be able to pick which operating system is running this console, and then you got to weigh the pros and cons, and whichever one wins, I'd assume, is the one that they'll streamline in and go for in the next part of the generation. So instead of competing with Sony and Nintendo, Microsoft is competing with Valve to get their stuff on as many pieces of hardware as possible, and then they'll push Game Pass and tell people, oh, you don't need to build up a library because if you just give us $20 a month, you can play all of the Xbox games. So you'll technically save money if you take advantage of it, and you'll be able to play these games with your saves and everything like that on any device that runs Xbox software. And I hope Sony ignores this. We've seen Sony go down this path already in the war with Xbox in terms of Game Pass and PS Plus. Sony, for some reason, saw Microsoft make Game Pass, and then Game Pass was doing well when it started. It was growing every month. They got up to like 35 million users and it stopped, but Sony revamped PS Plus to include a game library before the peak or the plateau actually happened, and now it's like this service they have to pay attention to, but it's not really doing anything. Like when they put Horizon Forbidden West on PS Plus Extra like a year after it came out, they saw the sales for that game completely flatline, which anyone with a brain could have foreseen coming, right? Like why would you buy a $70 game if you could just pay whatever, like $20 a month to get PS Plus Extra until you beat the game and then downgrade to PS Plus Essential? If Microsoft was actually able to put out competent, well-made games that aren't broken or overcharged or like bloated at launch outside of like Forza Horizon, you know, like they wouldn't be in this situation. Like if Halo Infinite came out with a great campaign that actually looked and run well, and they supported the live service aspect of the multiplayer better, they wouldn't be in this situation. There's a myriad of games you can point to, like Forza Motorsport. They were gassing that game up for like 4 or 5 years as the game that was finally going to dethrone Gran Turismo as the best sim racer. Then it comes out, it's non-functional, it runs like, and then they take over a year to fix it, and it's still not even in a state that most people who play sim racers would call releasable. So they've kind of created this situation where they're just going to throw as many games as possible throughout the year on their subscription service because they kind of have to, because they need people to keep paying for it, and the only reason people are going to pay for it is if games are dropping every other month on the service. They're kind of a victim to it. Xbox competes with Surface as the least money-making factor when it comes to the profits of Microsoft. Microsoft makes money on AI, they make make money on Windows, they make money on a billion different things that are not video games. And that's why Microsoft has had to uproot and change around the entire gaming industry that they have with the Xbox brand. It's just not working the same way it does for Sony, and the reasoning is clear. So I hope Sony sees that they're in the best spot they've ever been in to finally just compete with Nintendo. They don't have to worry about Xbox anymore, because when it comes to hardcore gaming consoles, people are going to pick up a PS5 over a Nintendo Switch 2, because you're going to get 60 FPS, you're going to get games that can't run on the Nintendo Switch, you're going to get a better experience on your TV overall. Anyway, speaking of great games, there are a ton of them on sale right now on the PlayStation Store for their Christmas sale. I picked out some of my favorites that are on sale and I think are worth playing. Starting out with Helldivers 2, this game has had a crazy year. It peaked super early, it was awesome, and then it got too hard, they nerfed a lot of the guns, and then they spent months rebuilding trust of the audience, and it all kind of culminated in this Illuminate invasion in the game. And then they had a little bit of controversy with the Killzone crossover, but like, I think that was dumb, because if you actually play Helldivers 2, you probably had enough super credits to actually get the armor for free, so it didn't really matter. This game is awesome. It's probably tied with my game of the year, which I'll talk about later on in the video, but right now it's on sale for $30, and it's at its best it's ever been. So if you missed out on Helldivers earlier in the year, you saw the controversies that happened through the middle of the year, now is the best time to get into it, and for 30 bucks, you're getting so much more value out of this game than pretty much any game on the market. It's the best live service available right now on any console. Silent Hill 2 is $46. I'm surprised at how fast the price is dropping on this game. It just must not have sold well, and I get it, because it runs bad. Like, when you release good games, you got to make sure the performance is up to par, and unfortunately, not only was it not up to par at launch, but Bloober Team kind of disappeared for a little bit, and then they came back with a few patches that really cleaned things up. So I'd say that this game is worth picking up now, and at 46 bucks, it's definitely worth it, because it's not like a Resident Evil game that takes 6 hours to beat, so a lot of people wait for a sale. This game is like 20 to 25 hours if you really want to see everything there is to do. So if you want a great single player game with a good story that's really creepy and has good combat and just has a good wintertime vibe around it, I would pick up Silent Hill 2. I think at 46 bucks, you're going to have a lot of fun. Astrobot is at the price it should have been when it came out, $50. Now this game, depending on who you talk to, either sold great or didn't sell well enough. I don't really care. I thought this game was excellent. I'm glad it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards, because it's just focused on fun. It's a great action platformer. It does genuinely new things for that little subgenre that is dominated by Mario and Nintendo, and I just love Astrobot. They've been consistently adding new content to it for free, so for 50 bucks, just like with Helldivers, you're getting way more value out of it than I think you're probably conscious of if you haven't played this awesome game. I'm going to throw a recommendation out there that's a little bit of a wild card, so if you have PlayStation Stars money, coins saved up, you should get a $10 voucher and buy Need for Speed Unbound, because it's $7. This game has had a roller coaster journey. It sucked when it came out, and then it just got better over the next 2 years, and now it's the best it's ever been. There's this new mode called Lockdown I've been playing every night after work. Basically what you do is you go into a map with like 12 other players, and there's an expanding zone that's like a lockdown zone. You automatically get level 5 heat, and then your car takes damage when you're in it. The goal is to collect money, and once you get to $100,000, you can unlock lockups, and they have the whole blacklist from Most Wanted that is randomly generated in these lockups, and then your point once you get a lockup car is to extract. But there's a cheat where if you go in with a motorcycle or get a motorcycle when it spawns, you don't have to pay the 100 grand. So it's like a real risk reward system, and driving a motorcycle in this game is awesome. It is so fast, it's insane. It goes up to 300 miles an hour, and it feels like it. And you can pop a wheelie at 300, and it feels awesome. This game is so worth $6. Just definitely do what you got to do, but pick this game up, and it looks and runs great on the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. Finally, that brings me to my game of the year of 2024. It's Space Marine 2. I've mentioned it on the channel that that's my game of the year, and as the year has gone on and I've continued to play it, it's just gotten better. It's an awesome throwback game that's reminiscent of Gears of War. It pulls in combat strategies from God of War. It's the best entry point ever into the Warhammer universe. It got me into 40K. It's got an excellent story about 3 dudes going up against it all and coming out victorious. The combat is visceral. It's insane seeing all these Tyranids on the screen. The gore is excellent. Like, I can't say enough good stuff about this game, and with its new patch, it runs better not only on the PS5 but also the PS5 Pro. You've got the campaign, which is a great story that takes up to 10 hours to beat. Then you've got operations, of which there are 8 now, and those are just fun to run through. There's like a full meta game with that where you can level up different classes and they all feel completely different and all of them are viable. The PvP is broken and unbalanced, but it's so much fun. It's just like a great package overall that actually feels like it was worth the $70 they charged for it at launch. I see a lot of people push back on it even being in the contention for game of the year, but like, it's the most fun I've had playing a game this year. It's the most value I've gotten out of a game this year, and it's just awesome from top to bottom. I think it beats all the first party stuff I've played this year easily, and I really can't say more good things about it. It's on sale for $50 right now. If you're looking for my game of the year and you really trust my judgment on games, I'd bet my judgment on this one. Even if you haven't played the first Space Marine game, it gives you a recap at the beginning. Like, trust me, this game is totally worth the entry-level price. But yeah, guys, that'll wrap it up for my last news update of 2024. Thank you so much for watching this channel. I wake up happy and thankful every day that I get to do this as my job. Like, I don't have to go into an office. I just get to come in my basement dungeon and make videos all the time. I really got it good, and it's all thanks to you. So if you've been here for a while or you're new here and you enjoy the videos, which I'm assuming you do because you made it till the end, I just got to say thank you. I appreciate it. I hope you had a good Christmas. I hope you have a good new year, and I hope 2025 is excellent, even if 2024 sucked for you, because, you know, it's always got to get better, right? Like, if you had a bad year, the bar is on the floor. Think about it like that. The only direction to go is up from the bottom. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in today's video. Thank you again for watching. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Shape on.